The fifth commandment instructs us to honor our father and our mother. Going back to the earliest of church history, Christians have understood that this command doesn't just include our biological parents, but all forms of authority that God has placed in our lives. Paul is very clear in Romans chapter 13 that we should honor all to whom honor is owed. But what happens when we are asked to honor or respect or obey someone that we don't approve of? Perhaps a politician or an elected leader. Perhaps someone that we feel is illegitimate or doesn't deserve the position that they hold. I'm Adam, and this is After the Fact. In the mid-1600s, a group of men in Scotland put together a collection of documents that we call the Westminster Standards. It's a summary of the key teachings, doctrines, and ideas of the Bible. Their thoughts on the fifth commandment are especially instructive and worth meditating and reflecting on and understanding the principles of authority and submission and how they relate to our lives today. What Westminster noted is that all authority comes from God first and foremost. And so the people that are in charge of our lives or even our world, even if we don't like them, we honor them, we submit to them, not out of some love for them, but out of love, devotion, and obedience to God. And so it doesn't matter if you don't like them because it is God's authority. The earthly authorities that we have are like training wheels, preparing us for lives of submission and duty to our God. They also note that everyone has duties to one another, both those in authority and those under authority. As Americans, we like to think about our rights, but the Bible thinks in terms of duty more often. Those in authority have some certain duties to those below them, not below them in terms of value, but below them in social status and in position. Those in authority need to protect for and provide for those who are in their care. It is their job to ensure that justice is done to those who deserve punishment and those who deserve blessing. When these things don't happen, the authorities can feel illegitimate. And so one of the responsibilities that authorities have is to not dishonor themselves through unjust commands or through inappropriate behavior. Those in authority should wield their power the way that a parent does. I thought this was very interesting. Literally expressing love and tenderness, and should lead them in a way that inspires a greater willingness and cheerfulness in fulfilling their duties. This doesn't always sound like the authorities that we have, but if you are in a position of authority, this is something that you should strive for. And we, under authority, also have duties to those in authority over us. We should pray for them. We should submit to their lawful commands. We should give them their due reverence and respect. That means that we shouldn't mock them or curse them or disrespect them. We should bear with their weaknesses in love and grace. They have duties to us. We have duties to them. We also, though, have duties to one another, regardless of authority structures. Our duty is to treat others with dignity. We should recognize that all of us have worth as people loved and created by God. And so we, following the model of Philippians 2, we put others ahead of ourselves. We rejoice in the successes and the blessings that others have, rather than becoming jealous or greedy or envious. Now, these principles don't just apply to government leaders, but to pastors, to teachers, to administrators and principals and other civil authorities, even bosses, anyone in a position of power. These are the responsibilities that we have to them and that they have and that we have to those underneath us. But this brings up a good question. What happens when you disagree? What happens when you don't like what an elected official does? Well, we should remember that our call is to honor those in authority, not necessarily to have affection for the people in authority. You don't have to like the president or your governor or your senator or your teacher, but you do need to honor them. You also don't have to agree with the people in authority over you. We recognize that all authorities are humans, and so they make human mistakes. That's why one of our responsibilities is to have grace and bear with the failings of those in power. We don't have to agree all the time with the decisions that others make, but we do have to honor them and respect them, even while disagreeing with those decisions. This is a difficult thing to do in our culture. Right now, we are prone to disagreement through mockery, disagreement through disrespect. But our call as Christians is to, even while saying, I disagree with you, still treat others with respect, with honor, and with love. Now, there may be times when our devotion to God will require us to disobey authorities. Even our civil authorities. We may, at times as Christians, be called to disobey laws, a concept that Christians have called civil disobedience. But even these moments must be conducted with honor towards those we are disobeying. Honor is a key aspect of what it is to be a Christian. Honor is a key aspect of what it is to follow God and submit to His rule. And so we should seek to honor those in authority, even when we disagree with them, even when we dislike them, even when we strongly oppose the things that they do, support, instruct. We still have to carry ourselves with honor. This is one of the things that sets us apart from the rest of the world. This is the goal of the Ten Commandments, as we've discussed before, that it sets Israel apart from its surrounding neighbors as a people bearing God's name, a people reflecting God's character, a people holy and distinct on the earth. As Christians, as members of Christ's church, we need to carry ourselves with that same distinction. It should look different, the way that a Christian interacts with the world, the way that a Christian interacts with politics and interacts with people in authority and in power. We should look different than everyone else. We cannot afford to stoop to the same levels of mockery, of disrespect, of dishonor that the world around us does. Even when we disagree, even when we dislike those in authority, we still must honor them, because ultimately every person in authority is a representation of God's authority. And so we honor God by honoring our authority.